Doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
Thank you, and everything that you have said, guys, is very useful, and I will try to incorporate in the. I will give you in 3 minutes the 1 day in the life of an asset owner, right? And
only 3 minutes.
3 minutes, very brief. And correct me later, guys, if you want to add anything. First, who are we? No, the asset owners. It's institutional investors, pension funds, insurance companies, sovereign funds, and endowments. But that's basically what is called asset owners. And we are mostly public or public-like, right? Which is very important to hear. Now, how do we work? Going back to models, every once in a while, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, depending on your business model, but we do an asset allocation study. And we hire the usual suspects. It could be Ortec, it could be Aon, it could be those organizations that help us, and we all hire the same ones, no? The 4 or 5 ones. And those guys, based on benchmarks generated basically from 2 of your sponsors here, MSCI, S&P, Bloomberg, based on those benchmarks, they recommend the best asset allocation that will generate the best risk-adjusted rate of return in the next 30 years. So that's what we do. And then with that, it says you can invest only 1% into emerging markets debt and probably 5% in public equity in emerging markets. And on private markets, they don't even say that, right? But they give you follow this benchmark and follow that. So, and I'm pointing out here players, right? Players that if we want to get to size and scale, those players are important because, again, those guys, those 4 or 5 Aons, Ortex, all those guys are determining the asset allocation of most of us, following the benchmarks of those 3 or 4 companies that are creating the benchmarks. And now we go and implement, right? And we have different business models, but we basically are benchmark hoggers, right? Because remember, we are, and we like to pretend that we are active managers, right? But we take very simple bets around the benchmark, right? So again, the benchmark has very small allocation to emerging markets. Why? Because our staff, going back to we're public civil servants, most of us, we are not incentivized to deviate further away from the benchmark, right? So all the system is generating a behavior. And then when it comes to private markets, again, we are benchmarking ourselves to a benchmark that has a very small allocation. And then we have very small teams, all of us, very small teams. And then you have to deploy, let's say, $1.5 billion a year on private equity, right? And you can do it in 4 or 5 transactions, no? At a ticket size of $250 million. Or you can do it in 20 different deals that will take you 20 times the amount of time and 20 times the amount of effort and due diligence. No? Guess which one they would do, right? So, and we get bombarded by all the large GPs offering billions of dollars of funds, and you can fill your allocation in 5 deals, or being bombarded by hundreds of smaller GPs that don't follow into our rules, because what we, in the rules for selecting GPs, we say 3 years of experience and good performance and the team that has been there forever and the founders and the this and the that and the that. So the whole system is skewed for size, for scale. And we're not seeing that happening. No, you have explained why, you know? There are no projects. There is a lot of capital ready from all of us. You said the number, 1 point something trillions of dollars. We all want to be sustainable. We all want to invest in this type of projects, but looks like there are not many projects, no, or they are being generated on the pipeline, but they are not there. And then second, they're not being brought to us in a scale enough so that we can even process and think about investing on them. We cannot invest in funds that are less than $1 billion, right? Because, and we will ask the other asset owners, but my private markets team, they wouldn't pick up the phone for a ticket that is less than $150, $200 million, right? So that, and we cannot invest more than 20% on a particular fund. So that makes it funds larger than $1 billion. So you have to have a lot of projects that are vetted and that you have already structured that are attractive and we can invest in them. So what I would propose as an idea is we have to work on those actuaries, no, the Aons, the Ortex, to change their models. Second, we have to speak with the benchmark, with the benchmark providers, the MSCI, the S&Ps, the Bloombergs, all those guys, because there should be space to do it, right? You were talking about the blue bonds and all those guys. They are not in the benchmark. So something has to happen. They have to be included in the benchmark. They have to create a space so that our investment officers on the day-to-day, they want to invest there. And then something has to happen in the private markets sphere. There cannot be so many, right? There's no space for hundreds and hundreds of GPs that are just fragmenting and not channeling the capital that is available from us that should get to the place. And then, of course, there have to be projects that are bankable and attractive to all of us.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.